right. Well, hey now, that's a little sneak peek of what we have coming up here, but welcome on into the Ryan Ripken Show. Happy Thursday, almost Friday. We got a lot planned for this show, and yes, I know the Orioles and Twins are playing right now. We'll get into some baseball conversations, but we do have two football guests joining us. Ravens long snapper Nick Moore, actually, Zach. We're pushing Nick back, stop traffic to 3:30. He's going to join us.
Of course.
And former Super Bowl champion and former Baltimore Raven cadre is Smiles coming back. He was very, very vocal on injuries and especially how he thinks that they can be more prevented. But then Q can talk to us a little bit about this tough gauntlet of a stretch the Ravens are going to have to start the year. And then we're going to have a great baseball mind join us. And now he's back in the game as the bench coach for the Rockies. As longtime manager Clint Hurdle's going to join us later in the show. And because we moved things around a little bit, we're actually going to start with a little bit of baseball news or talk about the game because, Zach, we got to sit down with Craig Biggio. That was part of the recent Sunday conversations that we released. So we are going to talk about that because it does relate to what's happening specifically around all of baseball and in Baltimore. But it's a little bit quiet in here besides just that Mr. Puppy Ollie's in the studio. Behind the sticks, it's just Zach Bollinger today. Bolly, how we doing?
Doing well. Wish the Orioles were doing a little bit better, but, things happen. And, we got to talk about it.
We do have to talk about it, and I know for the ones that are watching this Orioles game, currently down 4-0 in the bottom of the seventh. Woof. Been a rough go for the squad. 3 hits on the day. Jackson Holiday having one of them, Ryan Mountcastle, and then Ryan O'Hearn getting a little knock there. So positive is, hey, Jackson Holiday leading off, and I like to see that, and Ryan Mountcastle getting going. But for the Orioles, Chris Paddock is just dealing, and the Twins just love playing Baltimore, man. I mentioned this the other day. I know people are saying you just got to play the Orioles because they're struggling. Well, yeah, that helps, but the Twins did just beat the Red Sox and then swept the Giants, who were really damn good. But also, when you beat a team the first time, Zach, that team just thinks that they can own you. And there's no reason why they don't think that they can because that's what the Twins have done. No matter what happens, they've come back and won. And in this case, it's almost like they're imposing their will, and they're 2.5 innings away from getting 6 straight against the Baltimore Orioles. And that will send the Orioles to losers of 3 straight. And, of course, going to have a lot of people having some conversations. So why don't we start our conversations with a thing from Craig Biggio.
Yeah.
And this part, too, is brought to you by our friends over at Merit Clubs. And by the way, meritclubs.com, you see it right below. We are offering a 2 weeks free. So if you guys are looking to get fit this summer, go hang out by the pool, which are open on the weekends right now. And Zach and I might be jumping into a little bit of a Pilates class here.
It's going to be fun.
And we'll see how that goes. We'll see how
I know
moves.
how it's going to go. There's no surprises of what's going to happen. It's going to be bad.
How limber are we, Zach?
It's going to be not good.
How good is the core? You thought you were struggling with the planks or you felt good? Wait until we get into Pilates. Core is gone. But you know what's not gone is this offer. Go to that link, meritclubs.com/Ryan-Ripken/ use the code RIP25. And you guys will then have a 2-week membership on us, people helping people. All right, Zach. The Orioles, I think the biggest thing here, it's not even on the pitching side anymore right now because we've already beaten that to a drum. And actually today's Tomoyuki Sagano still went 6+ and 4 earned runs. It gives your team a chance, right? Not the best, but gives the team a chance to win. It's hard to win games when your offense isn't putting up consistent numbers. And it led to this conversation, Zach, where you asked Craig Biggio a question about analytics and overthinking too much at the plate. So let's play this clip from Craig on his thoughts. If analytics are too much and what needs to happen, or maybe we're going to see that shift here in this upcoming year. But Zach, let's play that clip.
Metrics say you're doing wrong. This is what this says it's doing wrong. It's just simply, hey, stay back. You know what you're doing. Stay back. Was that helpful for you? And do you think maybe baseball's gotten a little too much away from that at times?
Well, I think that I think that that's an excellent question. I think the game is starting to circle back to the old school baseball. It's never going to come back because the information is the information. The information is
Yeah.
useful whether you're standing on the mound or you're standing in the batter's box. I mean, there's just stuff out there that you can't deny. So, but I think at the end of the day, when it's all said and done, you got to dumb it down. You can't. It's a sensory overload. It's just like how many different ways can you say something analytically that you could just make your one point and move on. So I think that the game is circling back to a certain degree where it's never going to get back to old school baseball, but I think it's getting back to a little bit like you have to understand who you are as a hitter and as a player and what you can do and what you can't do. Like if you have no balls and no strikes and you're a high ball hitter, why are you swinging at a low ball, low and away for no balls and no strikes? You know what I mean? So you have to understand the little intangibles about like who am I? What's my makeup? Can I actually drive the ball out of the ballpark the other way, or am I a hook guy, or this or that? But I think that the game is coming back a little bit to dumbing it down a little bit because you can just give people and players just too much information and it's still see the ball, hit the ball, catch the ball, and run.
Still see the ball, hit the ball, catch the ball, and run. And he's exactly right that the game still needs to be played in a simplistic manner. And you got to be able to understand what your strengths and weaknesses are. Throw out the analytics side of this. And Zach, this is something that I'm glad. Great question, by the way. Proud of you.
Thank you.
But I think it's important to talk about because you need to know what makes you a successful player. Now, do we want to work on our weaknesses? Absolutely. But every hitter or any position player that has had success in the big leagues, they recognize their strengths and they use those strengths to their advantage while they'll slowly work on their weakness. But they're not going to go off of, well, I don't do this right. Let me try to make this better. And then if the analytics say I do X, Y, and Z, then that's going to be to better results. No, that's not how this is going to work.
Yeah.
You know, Al Bunbury, when we talked to him, Orioles legend, Al talked about he couldn't hit a curveball. So what did he do? He didn't look for a curveball. Craig Biggio just said right there, if you're a high ball hitter, Jim Thomey's favorite line from Charlie Manuel, know thyself. Mm-hmm. I think a lot of the Orioles players need to figure out specifically what works for them. And I think it's all around baseball. Zach, I don't think it's a coincidence. Who's one of the best pure hitters out in LA? You can probably name 2 or 3 with the Dodgers.
Yeah, I was going to say Mookie, Freddie, and Shohei.
So, and Shohei's the unicorn.
Mm-hmm.
Freddie and Mookie, those guys are older, been around. Mm-hmm. And do the analytics probably say that, hey, it looks good? Sure. But when you watch them, you hear them talk about the game, their approach, their mindset, simple. I think with a lot of the Orioles young guys, Zach, I still think it's a challenge. And maybe they can say that's the coaching. They can say, hey, are you getting the wrong information about this? It could be. Did you see Brandon Hyde's quote today, Matt, with the Baltimore Sun had that tweet? Do you have that handy or can I pull that up real quickly?
If you pull that up real quick about just kind of how he doesn't go solely off of
analytics.
Doesn't solely. But I agree, with what Craig said. I think there is such a thing as too much information. Like, I just think, we've talked to so many hitters, some of the greats all the way to prospects. Every single one of them tells you, if you are thinking too much at the plate, you've lost. You've lost. If you're thinking at the plate, okay, 2-1 count, he's thrown this 33% of the time, he's thrown this. Okay, I got to look at you're done. I feel like there is such a thing as, hey, he likes throwing sliders, to you. That's one thing. Okay, he got you out with these last time. That's helpful. But knowing every inch of the strike zone and what pitch he throws to that quadrant at what, sometimes it's too much. Mm-hmm. And, especially we've seen so many times where it's like, hey, the analytics say go with a righty here because he's a lefty, whatever. But the game's telling you, hey, the guy you're pinch hitting for has 3 hits tonight. He's seeing the ball really well no matter who's pitching right now. Keep him in. You go with the other guy because analytics say, and, whatever happens. It feels like it's a different way of playing the game. than just relying on that kind of, human element of, hey, you got this guy that's hitting well. We use Jackson Holiday as the example all the time, and it's gotten a lot better recently with his recent success. We get 2 hits, bench the next game. Mm-hmm. The human element of you tells you, hey, young guy seeing success right now, let's get him back out there, try to build on it. Analytics were saying, hey, lefty on the mound, go with Jorge. And that's where I think it gets a little lost.
And let me pull up this tweet from Matt, by the way. And shout out you, Matt, with the Baltimore Sun. Orioles Brandon Hyde on what those numbers he pays closest attention to when analyzing the offense. And quote, because if you're listening on the podcast platform, Spotify and Apple, you're listening, you're not watching. Don't watch and drive. But the quote is definitely not exit velocity. He's not looking at that. Looking at competitiveness of at-bats, the ability to swing at strikes. I don't look at how hard we're hitting balls or anything like that. Think that's great and sexy, but for me, it's not winning baseball. That quote is a very accurate quote. It is not about how hard you can hit a baseball and how far it goes. Yes, of course, if you hit a dinger, the ball is going to have to go a far away. If you square a ball up, it's going to. But we've seen throughout baseball, putting the ball in play with 2 strikes, getting the guy over, having the small ball component, and knowing what your strengths are to have success. You can look around at teams and say, go through the lineups and go, all right, what's your role on the team? What is your role for this offense? Are you a get-on-base guy? Are you a pass-the-torch type of guy? Or are you one of our boppers, our RBI guys? And you look at the teams, and you can say and go, hey, we'll go out the Dodgers because it's the easy example. Ohtani, Betts, Freeman, boppers. Those are your everything guys, and they're superstars, right? Like that is what it is. Look at this Twins team right now. They have a lot of questions, but they go, okay, Byron Buxton, like you are our guy. Larnack, we expect you to do some things, right? But everyone else, it's like, all right, we got to find a way to just pass it along. The Guardians are probably the biggest example. If you can name me more than 5 Guardians starting players, I'll be impressed. The 2 that you're going to think of are Steven Kwan and Jose Ramirez. Yeah. What's Steven Kwan's job? Get on, make something happen. You can have a little pop. Jose Ramirez, cash it in. Get that money. You're our RBI guy. Yeah. I think for the Orioles, so many guys outside of Gunnar are truly able to know what they need to do.
And I want to bring it back to, because I think that's a massive part, is it's not the roles that everyone always understands. It actually takes me back to what we were talking to Mark DeRosa a few weeks ago. And he said the best teams that he was on, every single player drove to the stadium every single day and knew what his role on the team was. They did not question, okay, am I hitting against these guys? Am I hitting, where am I playing today? They knew what positions they were going to be in. They knew what their job was. And the expectation for them, he said Bobby Cox would always say, you're not going to raise or lower your expectations of me. You're there to get the job done. At the end of it, we can see how you did. But it's all about those, that's why, honestly, the most impressive at-bats we've seen, I'll say it in the past 2-3 games, have been Maverick Handley. Because the guy came in and found 2 ways to get runs in without having to get a base hit. He knows he's not Gunnar. He's not going out there going 2 guys on, okay, here we go. I put the ball in the seats. This is a 3-run shot. He's going, how do I get that runner for 3rd in? Because I'm batting 9th. I get that run in, only sacrifice myself. Now we got another runner on 3rd, and the top of the lineup's up. That's where I think the whole roles come really into effect.
Yeah, and the roles are important for teams, but then also simplifying how you do the job. And that's what Craig Biggio was talking about of, I just got to simplify what my approach is. See it, hit it, For guys also, if you do your job and do what you want to do, the results are going to look good. You square a ball up, exit velocity is going to look good. Knowing the situations, you do what you're supposed to do, you're going to win more games. I still love the Terry Francona video, and I'm trying to download it. I laughed really hard when they were telling him, like, oh, hey, your player hit the ball 116 off the bat. And Terry's face was actually priceless. I want to play that for you guys real quickly because I think this is the representation, not only how like everyone kind of feels, but the reality of you just got to get the job done. It doesn't matter how hard it comes off. But let me play that clip for you guys right now. Hold on. There we go.
It's another home run. What have you seen from him at the plate?
He's been very good. You know, when he's covering like right center, when he kind of sets his sights that way, he's quick enough where he can get to the ball in, and he hit that ball really well. He's done a good job.
That ball, by the way, was tied for hardest hit home run of the year, league-wide.
Okay,
Yeah.
We get one run. You know, that's fine.
I love it.
We get. I love the. Okay.
We get one run.
Yeah.
We get one run. And this is that part that I'm talking about. And I can speak on this. And I haven't really gotten into this conversation, but philosophically, you know, I know in the minors and being there, the thought process is, hey, we're trying to get the ball in the air and we're trying to hit the ball hard. We're trying to do damage, right? And every hitter should want to do that. And that helps you develop players, Zach, physical skills. But once you get to a certain level, the physical skills aren't going to be the things that keep you there. It's going to be the mental side of how do you adapt. What did Terry just say in that explanation of when he knows his guy's going well? Oh, he's thinking right center, and then he's able to react to a fastball in. That's no analytics. That's just knowing how the hitter and what he sees with his eyes, how that player goes out there. That is something I think for some of the guys, not just with the Orioles, but league-wide, that type of talk is really beneficial. No stats involved. Because you know what? You do those things right, the analytics are going to take care of themselves. And I do think if there's one thing so far with the young guys, they have the physical talent, but it's been the mental side of the game that's been kind of lacking. And I know people want to blame, they can say it's the coaching. It could go down to, I think in my mind, it's just more philosophically of young guys having to figure out what makes them work. And so far, we're found out for the last year when things get tough and guys have had to move into different roles. And that's why I mentioned it. You don't have the other guys that were the veteran presence players that you knew what they were doing. These guys are supposed to be that. How do you handle pressure? How do you be the guy that gets on, gets them over, gets them in? When you don't have that and you're not able to work through the tough times, you're going to struggle. And the last thing I'll say with this, Zach, I tweeted this out. When you're struggling too, more things are going to go wrong than right. And you're going to have to grind your ass off. I think some people even took the tweet the wrong way. You know, shocker on that. But
No.
I said it's a tale of two teams. Look at both of them with the Orioles and the Twins. The Orioles, it is hard to win. Like it is, you can feel it. You can sense it. Even when they do things right, they do two things wrong. And you're like, damn, they cannot buy a victory. And then the Twins on the other case, they're walking, they're confident. They don't care about anything else, and they're playing loose. They're playing free. They're playing like a team that's going to go out there and win. Two different ends of the spectrum. And the biggest thing for me is the mindset of where they're at. One team is struggling and trying to stay out of their heads and trying to figure it out. The other one is just going with the flow. And when you are out of your head, you go with the flow, that team typically is going to win 9 times out of 10. Mm-hmm. And right now, in this case, it might be 6 times out of 6. So, woof. I hate it for the guys. And I hope the best for them. I really, really do. Hope the best for them. But if you're new to the channel, we always hope the best for you. You can hit that like and subscribe button. Ryan Ripken Show. We're live every Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, right here on YouTube, X, and then we're on Spotify, Apple. You guys, hit that rate button for us and let us know how we're doing, but help us get the good word out where people can come and talk about what is on their mind. But, Zach, there is one thing that O's fans, at least, could be therapeutic or maybe they're worried, but there is a guy in AAA that's smacking the ball around a little bit.
That's for sure.
And he's a catcher that looks pretty damn good. And his name is Mr. Samuel Basallo. And Sam Basallo, man, I'm really excited about him. I'm really excited what he's doing. I love how he handles himself. He should have had 3 home runs the other night.
Yeah.
One was knocked down for a double that went an estimated 403 feet. The dude is a beast. So if there's a consolation prize,
Yeah, at least
there is a very, very talented player that looks like, in my opinion, is going to be a big part of the team.
I think that's sucks to be May 15th, and we're sitting here talking about the minor league players that we hope can come help the team again. But Sam Basayo is going to be one of those. I hate to put pressure on him, but he's one of those most intriguing prospects because everywhere you look, no one said a bad word about him. Everyone's like, this kid, the way the ball comes off his bat special, the way he approaches the game is special. His approach to even defensively is special. So, man, I mean, talk about a guy that I think hopefully eventually is the guy that you plug in at number 4 for 10 years and you just let him play. You know, it doesn't matter if it's DH, if it's first, if it's catching, just let him play.
Yeah. I think there's one thing with the O's and with some of the young guys, and you guys know where I still stand. And look, the days that go by where the Orioles don't win games, your room for error gets smaller and smaller and smaller, right? And that's why I said we're going to get to June 1, and then there's the realistic of going, hey, harsh reality here. It might be done, or, hey, you got a little bit of a chance, but we're going to have a really good percentage. But day by day, when you lose, the room for error goes away. And then if you get to that point, hypothetically, down the road, then some cases, Sam Basayo is a guy that, hey, if he's ready, I would have him come up here and I'd have him play as much as he possibly can.
That's the big thing. Play him as much as he can.
And eventually that's going to happen. I think right now with how things are going, a Sam Basayo call-up is not going to change or transform. Plus, remember how young he is. Let him still develop here. Let him still develop. Even though it's exciting, he's got to develop. There's still a big jump from AAA to the bigs. So that is one thing to monitor here for the Baltimore Orioles, that Sam Basayo is a guy. And, you know, looking at him even more closely, Zach, I've really studied with him and David Hall, one of the reporters down there in Norfolk. We're going to have him on in the future. And he's just marveling over Sam. And I am too. I mean, we want to talk about bat speed. You want to talk about bat to ball contact. It's Sam. Like I'm not trying to pump the tires on it. There's a reason we're saying about trading guys. He cannot go anywhere. Like I was confident with Jackson. I'm way more confident with Sam.
Yeah.
Of him being what I think he can be. So we'll see what happens there. But in the meantime, O's fans, you got to hang in there. Figure out what's going on. I know the chat's hurting. I can see that there is some same things. And Mouse Talk, I appreciate it. Again, we try to read the comments here. We said the same thing about Mayo and the Miners. How'd that work out? I don't think Mayo got a fair run.
Yeah, he still hasn't.
At all.
We see what, Kyle Stowers is doing with when he finally gets a consistent chance. I mean, everyone wants to talk about, oh, Kyle Stowers, look what he's doing with the consistent chance. And then Kobe Mayo gets 5 at-bats every 3 days, and people are like, well, bust. Send him on. It's like, we got to give him a chance. Give him 200-300 at-bats, and then we can see.
Exactly. You don't know what you have. And for Kobe, and for any young player, keep this in mind. When you got to the big leagues, when last year or the first year Jordan Westburg and Kowser came up, what did people think? They weren't sure, right? And then what happened last year when they played a lot? Jordan Westburg and Colton Kowser getting consistent reps and given the keys. Jordan Westburg was given the keys to third base, became an all-star. Colton Kowser had his up and down moments, but he proved, hey, he's a big league player. He's an everyday player for the Baltimore Orioles. We don't know with Kobe. Kobe might not be anything. He might not become that prospect. A prospect status might not lead into his big league ascendance. But to your point, Zach, we're not going to know. Yeah. We're not going to know unless he gets at bats. And we might not figure that out. And to your point with Kyle Stowers here, Kyle Stowers went 2 for 30 in 2023 and hit a $167, actually 0.067. 0.067. 0.067. 0.067. 0.067. 0.067. 0.067. 0.067. 0.067. 0.067. 0.067. 0.067. 0.067. 0.067. 0.067. 0.067. 0.067. 0.067. 0.067. 0.067. 0.067. 0.067. 0.067. 0.067. 0.067. 0.067. 0.067. 0.067. 0.067. 0.067. 0.067. 0.067. 0.067. 0.067. 0.067. 0.067. 0.067. 0.067. 0.067. 0.067. 0.067. 0.067. 0.067. 0.067. 0.067. 0.067. 0.067. 0.067. 0.067. 0.067. 0.067. 0.067. 0.067. 0.067. 0.067. 0.067. 0.067. 0.067. 0.067. 0.067. 0.067. 0.067. 0.067. .067 in 30 at-bats. Keep that in mind. Kobe has, 50, 60 at-bats so far? Last year, Kyle Stowers in 50 games with the Marlins hit 186 last year in the bigs, but he got consistent reps and still hit 186. Kyle Stowers now has 453 at-bats in his big league career. And so far this year, it looks like he's put it together.
Yeah.
That's the example that we want to present. I'm not guaranteeing. Zach's not guaranteeing. Zach might guarantee his bets later, which, congrats on you hitting. We'll get to that.
That's what I do.
That's what you do. But reps are what's needed. So we'll get into all of that and a whole lot more here as we get later into the show. And if you are new to the channel, hit that like and subscribe button. Ryan Ripken Show. We're live every Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, right here on YouTube and X. We are going to talk a lot of baseball through the rest of the day. We still have our guests, plural, joining us, 2 Ravens related and 1 Major League Baseball related. We're going to have Kadri Ismail join us here in a little bit, former Ravens, Super Bowl champion. Then the new star in the Ravens schedule release, Nick Moore, is going to join us here in a half hour. And then Clint Hurdle, who has been around for decades in baseball. He has a new book out, Hurdleisms, and he has now been appointed the new bench coach for the Colorado Rockies here. But Clint has been a part of baseball for a long time. He's been with teams that have won a lot of games. And, man, he's been a part of some teams that have had a lot of struggles. Currently, the team he's involved with.
Yeah.
Rockies.
Yeah.
Woof, woof. Yeah, but Clint, I'm excited about with Clint. He is a great, great person. He's real.
Mm-hmm.
He's organic. And you can learn a whole lot from all this here. And you know what, though? I'm glad the schedule at least came out last night in Baltimore, Zach. Because I think that somewhat softened the blow where people could take their mind elsewhere.
Yeah.
They could have taken their mind elsewhere yesterday when they saw you do some planks. And super proud of you, buddy. You did a great job.
I haven't done a plank like that in so long. And, I did better than I thought. I was more prepared than I had anticipated.
Yeah. Is it because of that training for the marathon?
That
Marathon?
is yet to actually ensue since then. So we'll see. Not looking great.
Not looking great. But you know what is looking great? Victoria, good to see you. And Zach, love the shirt. And actually, RIP to the Gator and Happy Gilmore.
Yeah,
but
finally reunited.
Chubbs, it's all in the hips.
All in the hips.
I'm glad you know that movie at least.
Yeah, I know I know most of them.
No, you don't. No, we've already established this. You do not know most of the movies.
If it's like a comedy with Will Ferrell in it or Adam Sandler, I'll get 90% of those.
So what quote from an Adam Sandler movie goes, "Oh no, we suck again"?
Oh my gosh, that's I know exactly the meme you're talking about too.
So you're proving my point, right? Oh yeah, any Adam Sandler movie, I'm gonna know.
90%. Usually,
that's an iconic moment. Yeah, but like I just went to your wheelhouse right there.
Yeah. Okay. I'm not saying I'm bad. I already gave myself 10% error room. You give me Anchorman, I got that. Grown-ups, I'll nail that.
The SCLSU Mud Dogs.
Damn, it was Waterboy.
I know. Nick, thank you very much. I'm glad that you know.
In my defense, I've only seen that once. So.
Oh, goodness. Goodness. Well, Zach, as we wait for our guests to join us here momentarily, do we play then as we get going? Narnia, actually, it's a great movie with so many quotes, Zach. Vicky helped save the water boy. Taught him a lot of things about his becoming a man, Zach. Becoming a man down there. We know a lot of people. We're trying to keep it light here on a little bit of a throwback Thursday. You want me to try to keep it light a little bit before our guest gets here? Do you want to see a throwback photo of Ryan and my majestic hair?
What she got?
When I had hair.
What she got?
Let me see. Well, I wouldn't say this is majestic. I take it back. But I do have a lot more hair. And it was my days at Gilman.
Of course.
And the Hounds, baby. I do look a little bit puzzled. I think I actually had a decent game in this one. But I'm not afraid to show it. Let's see. It's not like White Goodman feathered and lethal, but there's a lot of hair there.
Yeah, you got some hair. We're looking better than it's got, right now, obviously.
That's what I just said.
Yeah, but I've just want to reiterate.
That was my senior year at Gilman, at the Gilman School.
Hair's a little long.
Hair is a little bit longer. There's another one, but there's like the Max Preps logo on it, and it does look feathered and lethal. I'm like, damn, I kind of look pretty good there. You know what? But in due time, I'll probably have to ask some advice on how I'm probably going to have a no hair here. So maybe our next guest can help me give me some hints on how I can actually look better since Zach, you think there's no chance for this. I don't think this is a bad look.
No, you got something going.
You are not. We're trying to build each other up here, Zach.
I said it looked fantastic in the photo.
Okay. Well, you know what? I think I need Q on to help me help butter me up or put me in the better spirits here, Zach. But overall, you see him all over the place. But our friend of the show, and usually a friend and enemy of Kevin Ostreicher when it comes to giving him some advice, fitness advice here. But let's bring on Super Bowl champion, former Baltimore Raven, Kadre Ismail. Q, there you are. Hey, you're at work right now.
Yes, I am here in my missile training. I was going to say studio, but the missile training, the silo as we call it. Yes. I got a full slate of clients about to come in about an hour from now. So I was just setting up all the things behind me. But as far as your hair,
yes,
let's just say it this way, brother. Stress. And if you ain't taking magnesium, and if you ain't taking biotin, and if you're not having some level of hyaluronic acid and some bovine collagen with some vitamin C to help the skin and hair and the nails, you're hurting yourself. The stress will get you.
So, hey, Q, can you write that down for me, or can I go out and get all those items here? I need like a Q. It's like, I want to say it's like a nutritional list from Q, but I need something there. We talked about Q tips. There's got to be like fit bits with Q, health bits with Q.
I'm telling you right now, I literally was maybe earlier in the winter, my other client was like, bruh, you got so much gold and knowledge of understanding. Like, I need to just have it written down, because like every time you say something, I'm like, oh my God, what? I was like, all right, I got you. So I have it all down. I'll shoot it over to you. Bam, you'll have the list, the Q list. And then therefore you can be like, okay, I am now educated in the ways of the Q.
See right there. We don't need any A list, B list. We need a Q list right there. So I can be educated. Hey, Q, I appreciate it. And one thing I got to ask, because look, you obviously are at the top of taking care of yourself from a nutritional standpoint, fitness standpoint, you're doing it. And I got to say, I saw some tweets out the other day. We saw some of these injuries that have continued to kind of happen. And I know you have some opinions about it. Talk to me a little bit about, whether from Achilles injuries, we even saw some hamstring injuries. What are ways in your mind that they can be more prevented? And why do you think we're seeing a lot more of these types of injuries in sports that they do require a lot, but there definitely is an uptick of these throughout the pro sports world?
So I think here is the bigger picture. One, when you train the body, the nervous system doesn't shut off. In other words, like we're sitting here right now, clearly our nervous system, I'm not telling my heart to beat. I'm not trying to consciously breathe it, just brain body connection, boom, doing what it does. All right. when it comes to stimulating the body, either positive or negative. If you live in a sedentary lifestyle, your body's going to be like, all right, bet I'm going to take the path of least resistance and I'm just going to waste away. If you stress your body in ways and, that hormetic effect is going to take place. In other words, when you go to sleep, your hormones are going to be like, oh my God, did you just see what he did to me? Like, wow, I got to figure this all out. Those enzymes, those hormones, those different pathways, they start to release in your body. And all of a sudden you wake up and like, all right, cool. Man, you got this reorganizing of your body, get a little bit better, get a little bit stronger. When you have certain foods, you have a certain inflammatory response to those foods, or you have a certain positive response to those foods. Certain nutrients are in your body. Awesome. Certain nutrients aren't in your body. There are consequences. Well, when you train, there are certain consequences to certain styles of training. When you deadlift, power lift, Olympic lift, and you are trying to go towards a forward movement, those movements are backward movements. Mm-hmm. When you see it in video format, slow motion video format, you'll see that mechanism of action is a mechanism that pushes your hips forward and causes you to help lift in a backward movement. At the same time, the last I checked, when you have a forward movement, if I'm training the body to go this way and I want to move this way dynamically, ballistically, and all those other quote unquote training buzzwords, then I am doing something that's counterintuitive. Why would I want to do this training when I'm doing that functional movement? So with that said, unfortunately, trainers, the training industry, the billion-dollar training industry, us have this paradigm of traditional movement, and all of a sudden we think that that's the cat's meow, and we change it up a little bit with some little cool little machine, and we lose sight of we're still doing the same thing, expecting a different result. And so when the catastrophic non-contact injury comes about and persons like myself say, hey, I told you, then we get all these people who don't know shit. They come out and oh, Q, what do you know? Oh, yeah, I do know. I know what it is to run a 4.3. I know what it is to go ahead under pressure, doesn't work in two sports at a high level and win. I do know what it is to be less than 1% of the population, to then therefore be around those that are less than 1% of that population. I know what it is to understand what the pressures of the sport brings. So miss me with all your little stupid ass comments and open your ears and eyes and hear what I'm saying, because I'm not trying to talk to you. I'm trying to say this, that the sporting landscape, that fitness community, we are missing the mark. The training is backward training movement when we should be doing forward movement training to help the body be durable and be able to withstand forces that are coming at it, whether it be football in a colliding collision or whether it be basketball in a very explosive, dynamic movement. When you train the body to do those explosive dynamic movements with your heels in the ground and the collapsing of this beautiful dynamic foot structure, you put yourself at risk. And in the words of, now this is where I'm getting silly, but that's all I'm going to say about that.
That's it. That's it right there, Q.
That's it,
brother. That's it. That's all you got. Hey, but this is why I love you, Q. You are unfiltered. You're to the point. And at the end of the day, everyone that's watching and it sees these athletes, they want, for most people, I like saying, I know you're in that camp, you want to see them succeed. You want to see them do well. So when you see them have setbacks, when you see players have to then figure out how to come back, because we're talking about, hey, the preventative so important, right? Of how can you train to be better? Man, Q, the grind to get back, that's a tough process. It's daunting. And then you really have to retrain your body. And then it might take you a long time to hopefully get back to the form that you were. So that's why you're bringing all this up. And yeah, you do know a damn thing or two about it. You walk the walk, you're allowed to talk, Q. I mean, you get it.
I have the surgeries to prove it. I have the C3, C4 neck fusion. I have what it felt like to separate my shoulder. And my kids, when I was little, Dad, what's up with your shoulder? Yeah, well, Dad separated his shoulder. I understand what the Achilles rupture is all about, non-contact. I understand what it is to have the hamstring and groin pulls. I understand what it is to work incredibly hard to get in phenomenal shape. And then all of a sudden it's like, well, wait a minute. Why is my groin being pulled? Why are these things happening? I understand this whole, oh, it's the field. Oh, it's the cleat. No, it's not the field. Somewhat the foot structure of the cleat, but no, it's not that. And yeah, the surfaces across the sporting landscape are some of the best surfaces. Like, do you think Jason Tatum is playing on a crappy court? No. No, he's not. And so, yeah, when I see him doing a lift that is forcing his body in and back and moving backwards when he's a dynamically moving forward athlete, yeah, the nervous system is going to be put at risk, and it was, period, end of discussion. When Darius Washington is sitting there just chilling, doing his preseason prep work, and all of a sudden a non-contact comes about, mother of pearl. That ain't cool. I've seen it. I've lived it. So, yeah.
Yeah, no, I know. And the thing is, you're passionate about it, Q. Like, that's the thing, is you're passionate. You, again, like I said, you walk the walk, but then also you've made it a specific, I wouldn't say it's not a goal anymore. You've made it your work to continue to understand how you can make it better. And it will be interesting moving forward how these athletes and future athletes continue to train. I'll say, from someone who was not explosive enough, but understanding of when you can find the right training and you're able to put yourself in a better position, you're going to have better results. And what's the name of the game when it comes to what's the best thing an athlete can be is be available. Your best ability, your availability.
Your best ability is your availability. And is it a bad? Here's my question: Is it a bad idea to not get hurt? Is it a bad idea to be durable? Because here's the thing, from a coaching aspect of things. So if I take off my trainer hat and I put on my coach's hat is like, hey man, we're thinking strategy. We're thinking, who am I going to put in the game? Doesn't matter the game. Doesn't matter the field. Doesn't matter the court. Doesn't matter. It's okay. The moment you get hurt, that's the moment I'm like, I don't not care about you, but I don't care about you from a strategy standpoint, because you can't help me or the team. Or if I'm coaching an individual sport, I'm like, well, there goes that training regimen or protocol of where I think we can go for whatever tournaments we're going to enter. Like, that's the coaching element of it all. So from a performance, training, durability, is it a bad idea to train in a way that will keep you durable? Is that a bad idea? Is that a ridiculous idea to think about?
Yeah, and that's also why a lot of players, and this is even for baseball fans as well, when they look at how are certain pitchers being able to get longer contracts and look at their numbers and what's happening, well, look at them. Have they pitched for a while? Have they been dependable? Have they been durable? Have they been able to be counted upon? And that's why certain guys, even in the NFL, well, how do certain guys continue to stay around, or in the NBA? Well, they've served their purpose. They might not be the most talented, but the team knows what they're getting from them every single day. And that is a big part of it. Freak injuries are going to happen. We all know that. Sports are violent, especially football. But if you can help put yourself in the best situation, that's ultimately going to help you. Q, we could talk for hours and we could spend a whole week on this. Before I let you go, then, last thing I wanted to cover, Ravens schedule came out. I got a photo right here. It's kind of a doozy to start off there, Q. It's the month of April, month of September is pretty spicy. They got some tough games off the bat, a potential Joe Flacco reunion in Baltimore with the Brownies, which actually would be amazing. But for those that can't see, they open up in Buffalo. Browns, Lions, at the Chiefs, and then Texas Rams. Q, just your thoughts right now. They got a lot of games on the back end of this schedule, but overall, it's going to be a tough slate for the guys in purple and black.
Well, here's what I'm looking at. You're outside of the Browns. You're looking at the Bills, the Lions, the Chiefs, the Texans, and the Rams, all playoff caliber teams. And so you have to play your A game. And when I say play your A game, like you can't afford to flinch against any of these teams. And that's what makes this first part of the season so critical. Usually in past years, you've seen where from a Ravens aspect, the bye week was later in the season. But my God, man, I mean, week 6, that's or week 7, excuse me, that's so early compared to what we've used to seeing as far as them with their bye week and kind of, helping themselves for that final push of the season. I think one thing, though, that is really cool, obviously Roquan Smith talking the talk, and I believe he can back it up. And I think he has some of the horses. 2 years ago when they were, the AFC representative as the number 1 seed, they had a coaching staff on the defensive side of the ball that was like just some studs. There were some horses. They were all that, Now I think that, they went through their growing pains, if you will. But this year, Zach Orr and company, I think that the staff is so much more complete. And I think it's going to be where they're not going to be trying to figure it out. Obviously, that's going to be a big plus for what they're going to try to do when it comes to this juggernaut of the first 6 weeks, because you're going to need that defense to kind of really be ready to go. I think that they will be. And offensively, I'm Derrick Henry is signed, ready to go. That's awesome. The only intrigue, and I'll leave you with this one, the Bills game. And now that we know Mark Andrews is going to be in purple and black.
Yeah.
Man, psychologically, is Todd Monken going to feature him early just to kind of get it out the way? We know Lamar, that's his security blanket. So it's easy for Lamar to be like, yo, that's my guy. I'm going to feed it to him. But if the play is called for Mark compared to if Lamar has to find him, that's where out of all of it, that's the only thing I'm like, ooh, that's kind of like a little sidebar intrigue for me when it comes to what they got to face going up to Orchard Park and facing the Buffalo Bills.
Yeah, that's a storyline. People, Ravens fans don't forget what happened last year, but for everything for the schedule release is that the first game, it's going back to, in some people's minds, the scene of the crime. And this is where you have to face those demons in the first game. And I'm excited about that. And I hope in this case, there's a different outcome here, Q. But we got a lot to talk about as football gets closer. I'm going to be bothering you more on the regular. But for the time being, let everyone know where they can find what you're doing, not just with your training and obviously what you continue to do on the media side with all your work.
Well, you can find me at missiletraining.com. Missiletraining.com. If you want to interact, get a consultation, understand what durable movement training is all about, high performer. If you're a team, if you want to do team training, I've done so much from baseball to soccer to basketball, football, clearly. Team training is available as well. Ages 6 all the way up to 85, doesn't matter. Now, at the same time, WJZ, we got 10 home games. We're going to change up our format a little bit at WJZ for our Purple pregame. I'm excited to talk about that. That's something that we can get into at another point in time. But yes, WJZ is where you'll find me with my Purple pregame show. Lots of fun that we interact with there. And, of course, Locked on Ravens, there's where our guy, Kevin Allstriker, and I, we chop it up on a weekly basis as well on Kevin's podcast.
Awesome. See, you're always staying busy. And one of those days, we're going to put Kevin through the ringer there of a little missile training. But Q, I always appreciate you, man. One of the realest, one of the best around. Hey, I know you're going to, I was going to say, give them hell over there, put them through the work, but I already know what's in store for the people coming in. But be good, and I'll talk to you soon.
Sounds like a plan. Appreciate you having me on as always, bro.
All right, Q, everybody. Dude, I love that man. And I love how real he is. And I'm serious about the injuries. Like, talking about sports performance, and I know we can talk about the Orioles, the Ravens, the results, and everything that happens. I do find it fascinating when people truly want to know. It's like when we had Yoni on yesterday talking about the intricacies of how players are dealing with things physically, ailments.
Yeah.
It's a fascinating conversation. And by the way, Q can talk that talk. He's gone through it, and he has the battle scars to show from it throughout his NFL career. But if you are new to the channel, hit that like and subscribe button. Ryan Ripken Show. We are live here every Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, right here on YouTube and X. And we are on Spotify and Apple and wherever you get your podcast. We put it out after our live shows. Zach, it's official. The Orioles have been swept again by the Minnesota Twins. It's been a rough go. A year ago, way different results facing that AL Central. So far this year, no bueno. Now the Twins have won 11 straight games, are right back in the thick of it as far as when it comes. And it comes to the playoff positioning, which is still 44, 43, 2 games in or whatever they're at right now. But the AL Central is the power division right now. The Twins are in 4th place, 3 games over 500. Then you have Kansas City, Cleveland, both have 29 victories each. And then Detroit is the best team in the American League at 29-15. Meanwhile, in the AL East, there's only one team over 500, Zach. And it's the Bronx Bombers. It's the New York Yankees sitting at 25-18. The Blue Jays currently at 500, and the Red Sox have been having some brutal losses at the hand of the Tigers, but no one here in Baltimore is feeling sorry about that. Right now, fans are feeling frustrated that the Orioles now are going to drop to 15. And is it 26, Zach? 27?
They're now 12 games under.
Isn't baseball fun?
Yeah, that's something.
Aren't people having fun right now? You know what, and everyone, we're going to have a lot more baseball discussions. We are going to have a wild Nick Moore sighting here. Ravens long snapper is going to join us here in the next 5 minutes. And later on, we're having Clint Hurdle, longtime big league manager and current bench coach of the Colorado Rockies. And Clint has a new book out, Hurdleisms. And Clint has great perspective, and he's going to bring that to everybody. But also, I am really curious, Zach, I know you are too. Damn, how do you deal with just expectations and then a bunch of failure? Because that is what we're seeing right now. And for the Orioles and all the fans here, I get it. In no way, even with the injuries that happened, even with the signings with Charlie Morton or Kyle Gibson or however it was, even with all of that combined, Zach, did you still think that the Orioles would be 12 games under 500?
Not even close. I would not have seen this coming. Even if I thought if the pitching fell apart, I think even if you thought the offense would underperform, maybe 5 games under 500 at this point. Like, I did not see them being completely uncompetitive with this offense. And that's the biggest problem right now. Like, we can talk pitching all we want, but this is the offense, another goose egg in the run column.
Yep. For me, it's tough to watch, especially knowing, again, I mentioned it on Kevin and Zach Reacts. People aren't going to feel sorry for guys that are playing baseball for a living, and I don't expect them to. But I do want people to understand how much it sucks in a losing locker room. And you've heard about moments, but you see when things are going well, and the fans embrace that when the guys in the dugout are having fun, whether it was the hydration station, the energy, it's contagious on the field. What you don't see is that you're seeing the frustrations on the field, and in the locker room, you're dealing with that battle internally. And the Orioles right now are dealing it with all of that is just as much as anyone in baseball right now, Zach. And the storyline right now, unfortunately, is that the Baltimore Orioles are losing their grace to get out of this by the day, by the loss. We're halfway through the month of May. I still say we're going to get to the month of June to really have it. And to be honest, though, Zach, if they keep losing, the days are going to get shorter and shorter here, as the Baltimore Orioles then are going to have to get ready for another team that's right down the road in the Washington Nationals that have some very young talent and who already won a series against the Orioles this year.
Yeah.
So it is woof, woof, tough. And by the way, Preakness is this weekend.
It feels like that.
Did you know that?
Yeah, but like I just found out a few days ago. I forget about, especially after the Kentucky Derby winner's not running. That's what sucks.
Oh, for sure. Well, get your Preak on here. Get your Preak on. It used to be very rowdy. I think they're trying to tame it back. And also there's going to be changes with the Preakness obviously upcoming here. Excited to be there. Excited to be I'm planning on going to it, Zach. So I'm excited to kind of see what's happening over there. Maybe I will run into a wild Nick Moore. And I'm curious what Nick's had of some horror moments down in playing professional baseball during his time. And Jason, I see you saying, well, June, you said mid-May. I said in between the mid-May to June. And right now, yeah, it's 15 and 27. It's bad. It's bad. You know, no one's sugarcoating that. It's just going off of what my wording, Zach, also goes off of what we're being told. And unless the Orioles then drop another 6 or 7 in a row, where then the losing streak gets so embarrassingly bad, or they lose 10 in a row, where maybe they say, hey, we're done. We're going to cut the cord with make a change. But Elias did say he would usually wait till Memorial Day. And then hearing his words, he told me he's not even thinking about that going into June. But personally, for me, I always said the mid-May to June reason, because if the Orioles can in the last 2 weeks play better baseball, and you can see how many games they're under 500, because they will be under 500. Granted, they go on an absolute bender. It's not going to happen. Or they can make up games. It's not going to happen. How far are they under 500? How close are they in striking distance? That is going to matter. Because right now, I know it's a crazy thing to think. There still is 100 and goodness gracious, or still 120 games left in the season. And now they got to do some work, Zach. They got to go on a bender. They're going to have to win a lot. And I mean a lot. But teams in general are not going to throw in the towel on May 15th, as bad as it is, unless it's the Colorado Rockies. They did throw in the towel very early and very often, as they are the absolute worst team in baseball. I know it hurts, though, that the White Sox now have won 3 of the last 4 games, something like that. And the White Sox are now just a couple games behind the Baltimore Orioles for the worst record in the American League.
Yikes.
The Colorado Rockies are 7 and 36. 7 and 36.
It's not fun there. I can't imagine it's fun. That's got to suck. There's very little hope.
They're 21 games out of first place. 21. Well, tough, rough, woof. A lot of good kids out there. Hey, Zach, well, I don't know, at least if you guys are into that type of thing. Some positives then, if you want to try to get back on some winning moments here.
Yeah.
Let's take a quick trip up to our friends at Hollywood Casino at Charlestown Races in West Virginia. And Zach, you made our friends up at Hollywood Casino at Charlestown Races proud.
Yeah.
You're back on the horse. You are 1 for 1 on the week, going 2 for 3.
Yeah.
It's a good win. That's a good week. You battled back last week. You took Aaron Judge both times so far. Aaron Judge to
2+ bases. And
he did it.
We're sticking with 2+ bases tonight, but we're going back to old reliable Freddie Freeman. Freddie Freeman, 2+ bases. Love the matchup. He's historically hit well, and it's Freddie Freeman. I mean, what more could you ask for? So take us home, Freddie. I'm also putting an asterisk on Tuesdays because I can't. Julio Rodriguez just is unbelievable in the field. He comes out of nowhere, but we'll accept that one. Bounced back last night, and we're taking the week tonight.
Country roads Freddie, take me home.
Here we go. To the place.
I belong. West Virginia. Mountain Mama. Take me home. Country road. Freddie is going to take us home here for that. And Freddie's also hitting shirts and pants, dude. He's hitting 426 for the month.
Yeah.
For the month, Zach, man, good players. Good players, man. Knows what he's doing. Freddie's one of the best hitters of our generation and of all time. And you know what? I was wondering when our next guest was going to show up.
The easiest bet of all time was Nick Moore showing up late.
Yeah, Nick Moore doing the 2:30 time over or under. He was busy getting fitted, and getting his wardrobe in place.
And when you're a big actor now.
He's a huge actor now. If you guys saw the Ravens schedule release, there was a huge role when introducing what the week 4 matchup would have been between the Ravens and now it's the Chiefs. But let's bring on Hollywood actor, former minor league player, and current Ravens long snapper and friend of the show, friend of the program, Mr. Nick Moore. Nick!
Guys, I appreciate the warm welcome you guys gave me.
Hey, welcome, man. It's an hour later, but here we are.
Hey, we're here, man. Brad came over, fixed the camera, and then now it doesn't work, and I gotta zoom out a little bit. Huh? How do I do that?
Really close and personal here.
Do you need help?
No, that's zooming in.
Yeah.
That's as far back as it'll go. So I guess here we are.
Hey, you look good, Nick. I'm proud of you. You're a good kid. Hey, we were talking because the Orioles are on a little bit of a bender, and not the bender that we like to tell stories about. This is like the woof. This stinks. You got any memories back in the minor league days? Losing streaks, bad slumps. I know you have bad slumps. You got something in there.
I feel like my whole career was a bad slump. So it's not really fair, but there definitely was a time I can vividly remember 2013. I started with the Greenville Drive, first time breaking camp. I was in low A in the Sally League, and I started the year. I was 0 for my first 18, hit a home run in Hickory to be 1 for 19. And I think I proceeded to go like 6 for 67 or something with like 4 homers and like 50 strikeouts. So, I mean, the whole 2013 season for me was a slump and was very difficult. So I can totally relate to that. And, I hate it for the guys. It's a difficult time. That's the one thing in baseball, man. And Ryan, you can attest to it. Like, it's so hard because you're going every single day. You don't ever feel like you get a chance to like take a deep breath and just relax. Like in football, the thing I like so much is we play once a week. You got Monday to really dive into the tape. Tuesday, you talk about it. And then Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, Saturday, you can work on it so that you don't make those mistakes on Sunday. But baseball, man, it is easy to slide. Like, one bad game, it's easy to turn that into one bad month. And, I fell victim to that quite often in my career. So, I feel for the guys. I know they'll turn it around. They got some really talented players. They're young. I mean, they're young guys. So I look for an uphill swing.
Yeah, we're hoping right now, 12 games down under for the boys. It's the most expectations the team has had, I would say, since the 90s. Even when Buck Showalter was at the helm, Zach, and they were winning games, it still felt like this team had even more higher aspirations than those teams. But, Nick, I'm glad you mentioned that. Yeah, I can relate to it. And I talked to Seti. I was texting with him last night. And, he's in good spirits, the best that he can. And his just words are, it's just rough. It's rough when you feel like you're right there. And then you find a different way to lose. And you're sitting there going, damn, what do we need to do? And obviously it's a rhetorical question. There's a lot of things they could do better. But you don't get a chance to really reset and practice it. You can practice it in the cage. You can practice whatever it is. It's so hard to take what you work on for like a session in the cage to the field. That's why like spring training was so great. It's like, oh, I worked on this the entire off season. Let me play around. Mm-hmm. in the game, in the season, you're like, do I really want to mess with something and try something where I might fail for another week? It might work down the road, but like it suck right now. And I feel like that's with a lot of the guys. It's a lot of domed up, man. They seem like they're in a bad headspace.
Yeah, it's so hard to do that, Ryan. Like it's such a results-based business, like any professional sport. Like obviously the results are what matters, and what you do in the games is why you play and how you continue to play and make money. It's when you work on it before the game, right? It's in a controlled environment. Your emotions are low. Your body's nice and relaxed. Your brain is calm. You're focusing on something. As soon as the bullets start flying in the game, like you tense up. Your mind. The last thing you want to do in the batter's box is think about where I need to load, like what kind of foot tap am I going to do? Where my bat's going to be? Like you don't have a chance. So then your body just reverts back to what it's been doing. And that's why it's so hard to make those adjustments real time, basically, in the big leagues. And that's why it's such a hard thing to do. And that's why I wasn't successful at it. And, a lot of guys are in the similar boat as I was in. Like, it's just very, very challenging. Because I can remember, dude, in that stretch I was talking about when I was with Greenville, dude, we were in Lexington, Kentucky, playing the Lexington Legends. By the way, the best hat in minor league baseball with the mustache, dude. It's like a lime green with the brown mustache.
It was pretty electric.
It was elite. And I can vividly remember being in the batter's box, dude, in a stance, start the at bat, strike one, change the stance, strike two, change the stance again, strike three. It's like I didn't have a chance in hell of hitting, let alone making contact, let alone getting a hit and giving myself a chance to get on base. Like I was just in such a blender back then that, it's so hard. So I can totally understand. Like it's a very tough game, and that's why the guys at the top, man, that's why they get paid so much money, because it is so difficult. And mentally, I just don't know if people really can understand the mental toll it takes.
Oh yeah,
on players. It's so. I mean, dude, I tell this all the time when I talk about minor league baseball. I woke up and went to the park, not wondering if I was going to strike out. It was how many times was I going to strike out that day? And if I got through a game, bro, and I did not do it very many times, if I got through a game without striking out, I didn't care if I was 0 for 4, but if I had 0 punchies, dude, it was a win in my book. I didn't care. Like it was a win. If I just hit the ball every single time I went up to the plate, it was a win.
I laugh because I've had different conversations with myself about, like, mine have been like, can I please just get a hit? Just one. If I'm 1 for 5 with 4 strikeouts, 3 strikeouts, like, thank goodness. The same concept applies when you just lose games. Yeah. So, Nick, I've been on teams where I've lost 13, 10. I remember in 21, my last year, and then we'll talk about a little foosball here. We thought we were going to be so good because we're playing the Nats alt-site team, their AAA team. We're beating the crap out of them. And we're like, damn, like we can rake. And then we start the season, find out that the Nationals, their AAA team in Rochester, was worse than us record-wise. And then we got jumped down there by the Jumbo Shrimp in Jacksonville, went to Charlotte, got our asses kicked. And then we went through a stretch where we just kept losing and losing and losing. You'd wake up and go to the field today, and we're like, man, it would be great if we could find a way to win. And I've had games where we were up 6. I remember we were up like 6th in the 8th inning, and we give up 9 in the last 2 and lose. Yeah. Like, that's how I look at with this Baltimore Orioles team. They're doing a lot of things wrong, but when things aren't going wrong, they just snowball. And then you're sitting there going, well, please, can we just try to figure this out? And that's not an excuse, but that's the mindset that you go through where it's Groundhog Day. And you got to try to, like, change Groundhog Day in the moment. We could, Nick, we're going to have more of these minor league stories in the future, my friend. But I got to ask you, how does it feel to be a big time star now? Because that was a really good roll. Can we roll the clip?
Yeah.
Can we roll the clip for our there we go.
Look at that, dude. I mean, my agent's already getting calls, man. And Hollywood's already trying to get me to retire from the game and go out there and, work with Tom Cruise and some of these guys, try to be a big time movie star.
Hey, yeah. Do you do your own stunts? So is that actually you, or did you get a stunt double?
That was me. I contemplated it, but it's hard to match that gray hair and that gray beard. So, I had to rock it.
You are really becoming a silver fox here. And I was going to say it's a touch of gray. That's all gray.
Yeah. Well, I just got my hair cut today, so it doesn't look nearly as bad. But, my dad, he's been gray my entire life. So it's all I've ever seen him as. I never knew, he had a different color hair. And I'm not far behind him. I probably realistically have 3 years before I'm like white. Like my dad's like see-through white. Like I'm right there. Hey, look, it's all funny games. I'm gray, but Ryan, I seen your dad. Okay. I know which direction you're going. So
Yeah, I mean,
I'll take the gray hair any day of the week. All right.
Crazy, just straight out of there.
Damn. This is the guy that he hasn't come on in months. Talks this big game.
Yeah.
And then he comes out firing. He came out hotter than he does on the golf course, which is kind of very mild and a bit below average from what I've heard. I've heard your game needs a little bit of work recently.
It's been slacking recently. I'll give you that. Much.
Yeah. Oh, if you never need help, you let me know.
I started the season off great, and then I have gotten myself into a little bit of a slump. So we're working through it.
Sure you are. Yeah, we said we could get you back in here if we get a golf simulator. We got a Pop-A-Shot now. We got new couches.
I know. Dude, I'm coming. I promise. And it's tough sledding around here, bro. It's tough sledding, dude. Okay. Where's Brad? Where's Brad at?
Brad's going to he's heading home. Like he's heading home.
Yeah, because he's got them kids, bro. You got to take care of the fam.
Yeah, so that's the thing, You're doing that, but I might run into Nick this weekend, allegedly.
We'll see if Calvin can get him in the right spot.
Oh my God. No. So Nick, so this is the thing. Nick just thinks he's hot shit now because he's in one commercial that's a Severance-based release show. By the way, have you watched Severance at all?
I have seen the first episode, and that's it. Because I needed so originally I was going to have a bigger role, but
so what happened? You didn't.
Okay, so I make my plans for the week on Sunday because I have the kids and my wife has her workout schedule, and so we try to mix and match and make sure everything's lined up for the week.
Mm-hmm.
So I have made plans to play golf, and they texted me at like 11 o'clock on Monday night. And was like, hey, we're gonna do the Severance shoot tomorrow at 3:30. I was like, bro, I'm already committed, dude. There's only so much time I have available. And so I was supposed to be like in the scene where they're like in the field, Jordan and Tyler and Charlie are in the field house on the computers. I was supposed to be in that. And unfortunately I wasn't able to make it. So seems like they took it a little personal and cut my time down significantly, but it happens.
So, I mean, it sounds like you're doing still. The part was yours, and if you really wanted it.
I know, because I volunteered first. I was with Tyler when they first approached us in February. And I was like, absolutely, I'd love to do it. Like, I'm terrible at acting, and it would just be a fun experience to do it with guys I'm comfortable with. And like, we're all kind of just like they said, Jordan and Tyler and Charlie, it took them like 3 hours to do it because they could not stop making fun of each other like the whole time. So I mean,
checks.
I would have loved to have been a part of that, had a bigger role, but unfortunately, it's hard with the kids to formulate a schedule. I'm not big on making adjustments in this.
Didn't you say you were golfing though?
Yeah, you just said that.
You said
was that what your commitment was?
Yes, that was my commitment. Yeah, I had a tee time.
And you just said your family. It's hard. I wanted a bigger role in the.
No, that's not. I said I planned my weeks out on Sunday for the whole week. So like I already had this set up, and I was hosting people at BCC. So like I had to be there in order for them to play because I was the host. And so I had to. I probably shouldn't have gone because I got my ass kicked, but it happens.
So, in hindsight here, and then there's Tyler. Proud of him. He did a great job.
He did, and his golf game's trending upward, man. He's beat me the last 2 times, first 2 times ever. He shot a 78 the other day, first time. His golf is trending. The thing about Tyler with golf, it's so frustrating. He doesn't make like catastrophic errors like I do. Like I'll go up there, I'll be even par, and then all of a sudden I'll just be spraying the ball left and right, and I'll be 6 over on like 3 holes, and it just hurts. And Tyler he's steady Eddie, man. He just doesn't make a lot of mistakes. Mike Trout once said that he's got the best short game he's ever seen. So he's
great hands. Great hands. Nick is all about name dropping.
He loves a good name.
Talking about how good he is.
I didn't say anything about me. I was complimenting my friend and fellow golfer and teammate Tyler Linderbaum.
And Nick just is a big supportive guy.
He is a big supportive guy. Hey, Nick, proud of you, buddy. I don't care what they say about you. I don't care how they talk about the golf game.
I appreciate the love.
You're a good
appreciate that.
But and Tyler was phenomenal. A+ for him. A+ for him.
Yeah, he's really good with that stuff. He does a really good job with all that. And so Charlie did a good job too. I didn't know he was going to narrate it.
Yeah.
That's cool.
He was amazing. Well, hey, buddy, the schedule's out. We got you for a little bit longer. We got Clint Hurdle joining us. I'll pull that schedule back up for you.
Yeah, let's take a peek at it, man.
So,
who do we play week 4, Nick?
We play Kansas City Chiefs, baby, in Arrowhead, 4:25 on Sunday. It's going to be a good game. It's going to be a good game.
Hey, what team did you have on your forearms?
I had the Chiefs.
Yeah, that's what I have.
Yeah, I was just making sure. Just double checking with Nick. But hey, dude, that's a tough schedule out the jump here. We might have a Joe Flacco sighting in Baltimore, which would be pretty electric if he was the starting quarterback for the Browns.
Yeah.
But then Bills playoff team, Lions, Chiefs, Texans, Rams, all playoff teams.
Playoff teams.
And then week 7's the bye, and then it's whammy. A lot of games down the stretch, and then a lot away from home down at the end of the season.
I'll be honest. I took a peek at this. Beginning of the season is really tough. The game that I have circled on my calendar, for no other reason that it's going to be absolutely miserable, and I'm just praying for a 1:00 kickoff, is, can anybody guess what game I'm looking at?
Packers.
Yeah. Week 17, bro. On Lambeau Field, Green Bay, Wisconsin. I just hope to the good Lord puts us at 1:00, baby. But I guarantee you,
they don't got weather like that in Georgia. SEC, that ain't SEC weather,
bro. That time of the year in the SEC, you're playing inside anyway, so you're not worried about the weather. And it obviously doesn't get anywhere near Green Bay, so. That's going to be a fun one. It's going to be.
I thought it meant more.
I thought a big challenge, but I'm excited. I like those. I mean, they're obviously difficult games. Weather plays a huge factor in my job and with the special teams units. But if you want to be the best, man, you got to be able to play in all the environments. So if we go out there, do what we're supposed to do, play great football, I think it'll be another great night for us and another notch of experience under the belt playing in a place like that.
I agree, and I told everyone too, with this season, no pressure at all, Nick, but Zach, I said, when we're talking about, there's been some changes, obviously going to be a new kicker. It all starts with the long snapper. So Nick, it's all going to be on you, man, to groom whoever the new guy's going to be. You got to be in the room. Yeah, you got to be friendly.
I'm the oldest guy. I'm like the second or third oldest guy on the team now.
Wow.
Yeah.
Do they call you officially Unk status?
OG. I had a couple of the rookies this week call me OG. They don't know who I am yet, and they're just like this one guy passed me today. I was passing water.
It's the hair.
No, I know it's the gray. Okay. Yeah. So I was walking past this guy, this rookie. I didn't recognize him, and he was like, "Oh, what's up, OG?" And I was like, okay, I guess I'm that guy now. Because other than Kyle Van Noy, I'm pretty sure I'm the next oldest guy.
Do they think that you're still on the team currently, or do they think that you're like an old Ravens legend?
I think when they first got here, they're like, who's this old guy working out? Is this like a coach working out with us? And then we did our first walkthrough, and they saw that I actually have a position on the team. So they figured it out that I'm the guy. So
you're the guy. You are the guy.
Yeah.
Nick Moore, the guy.
Yeah, so I'm, it's going to be a different. Obviously, it's going to be a lot of change, especially in our room. Losing JT and but I think for me, I'm excited because now I'm going to be the old guy. I'm used to being, age not significantly younger, but an experience significantly younger from Tuck and Sam and those guys kind of who groomed me to put me in this position. And I was telling Harbs yesterday that I think it's a role that I have ever since I started playing football again, I've been the oldest guy. So it's kind of a role that I'm familiar with, I'm comfortable with. And, I've always been a little bit of a leader, throughout my career or, throughout my time in sports. And this is going to be a good chance for me to kind of put that on display, being the oldest guy, most tenured special teams guy. We not only in our room, but like the special teams as a collective now, I'm the most tenured player we have because we lost Malik and Chris Board and Christian Welsh. We lost a lot of our veteran players. And so now I'm kind of that guy, and it's something, and, as a long snapper, there's only so much you can do, but I'm definitely excited for an opportunity to have a voice on the team, and it's going to be a new position for me. So I'm looking forward to the opportunity to do that.
I'm excited for you in all seriousness. It's a new challenge that's going to be a part of it, but still a great team.
Yeah,
you're going to
still
be
a great team.
Still a great team. Going to be asked to do a little bit more here, and all types of things there. I was just thinking. Also, I can see a lot of team bonding as Nick is the veteran. He's going to say, "Hey, team bonding. Let's just all hit the course. Let's all get out there on the golf course and let's."
Dude, it's a great bonding experience. Okay, you're on the course for 4 or 5 hours. You're not using your phone a lot. You're actually hanging out, talking. Cause dude, we'll have people over at the house and everyone's just like on their phones, like doing their thing. I'm like, are we really even hanging out? Like, oh, look at this video. It's like, dude, come on.
Yeah,
let's just hang out. Let's put our phones aside for 4 or 5 hours, have a beer or two, like get to know each other, like really learn and experience each other and hang out and have fun. So it's a great way to do it.
I mean, Nick did that type of thing, not golf, but with my Uncle Bill.
Listen, Bill, me and Bill are boys, man. That's all I got to say about it. I got invited to Christmas and Thanksgiving, and we're basically best friends now.
Okay, well, I'll ask him about that in a couple of weeks. I'm going to see him, and I'll get the honest assessment of what he thinks of Nick Moore here coming soon. So don't you worry,
Bill. All right, I sit down at the table, right? We go to the Ripken Gala. I sit down across from Bill. I've been watching Bill on TV my whole life, basically. I used to love watching all the SportsCenter or the MLB Network stuff. And he's like, hey, what you drinking? I was like, oh, I got this Corona. He's like, oh, okay. And he goes, you want one of these? I was like, yeah, sure. He gives me, I think he was drinking Yingling. Got a Yingling. And he kind of did one of these. He's like taking a sip. He's like over here, and he kind of like side eyes me a little bit. He's like, and then the lady showed up with a bucket of Corona, and I looked at him. I was like, I guess this is what we're doing, and we proceeded to drink a lot.
Yeah, there's the friendship there like none other there, Nick, and maybe we'll have to do more of that in the future. But I appreciate you jumping on. I'm glad I'm looking forward to your Preakness outfit. So I'll text you later on, and we'll have to hang out. But I appreciate you, man. Thank you.
Thanks, boys.
Thanks. Congratulations on your acting career.
We're just getting started, okay? A long road ahead in that journey.
Yeah, you're not lying about it.
Not lying at all.
Appreciate you, Nick. Beat it. Get on out of here. Thank you, Nick.
Good
always,
kid.
always modest as ever there with Nick Moore. But I do love the fact he's talking about with the Baltimore Ravens. You're going into a different era. And for him, he is actually one of the more veteran presence on the team and obviously in the special teams room. That is going to probably be the biggest question mark for the team as they move into the 25 season. If you're new to the channel, hit that like and subscribe button. Ryan Ripken Show. We're live every Tuesday, Wednesday, and Thursday right here on YouTube and X. We've talked a lot about, obviously, that's changed with the NFL schedule release. We've covered what's happened so far around baseball and obviously Baltimore Orioles, since we are based in Baltimore, off to a rough start to the season. And the Minnesota Twins win today to make it 6 straight against the Baltimore Orioles on the year. But that's just the way that it goes. And baseball's hard. You be around it for a long time, Zach, and I've told you this. Things don't always go according to plan. And I would think it's safe to say no one was going to think that the Baltimore Orioles would be 15-27 trying to figure it out, given the fact that they're coming off of 2 straight seasons of being playoff teams and the last 2.5 years of having the most wins in the American League. But that's all part of it. But the next person that's going to join us here, if he's ready to rock and roll, Clint, if you're ready, give me a thumbs up and we'll rock and roll. It's a man that we talk about being around the game. And he has been around for decades. You've seen him probably most recognizably managing some ball clubs over the years, but also he has now just released what he's learned throughout all the years. Hurdleisms, the book that just came out. But let's bring on longtime MLB manager and now current bench coach with the Rockies, Clint Hurdle. Clint, how you doing?
Good morning, Ryan. I'm doing good here in Arizona, man. Got a day off.
Yeah, how about that? And first off, because I want to talk about everything you have going on with your work and book, can you remind everyone how long you have been involved in the game of baseball from the start?
Professionally, this is my 50th season.
Does it feel like 50 for you?
There's days it feels like 50. There's days it doesn't feel like 50. Truthfully, almost a month ago, I was in a completely different space. I was a special assistant to the GM. I'm traveling up and down our affiliate chain, visiting our teams in Spokane and Fresno, growing up young kids, spending time with young managers and coaches, 2 weeks on the road, a month, a couple weeks at home. I'm in a nice space. We're trying to get our minor league players better so when they get to the big leagues, they can stick. And then everything flipped on about the middle of April, and I was asked to come back as a hitting coach.
Yeah.
And I accepted that opportunity, conversation with my wife, my family, some close friends, being out of the game for 5 years, out of uniform, and really replaced at the major league level. My finger wasn't really on the pulse of it. I was focused on minor league development. To a hard situation, to get asked to come back and try and help. And I think I'm sure you've been in that position before when people you love and care for are just getting beat up. You talking about records, you talking about not expecting to be where you are. We're 7-36.
Yeah.
And so you want to go get some of that. You want to get in line to go get some of that and jump into that. And if you love people, I ran to the storm, just like the Buffalo. I just ran to the storm. And then after 3 weeks of being the hitting coach, I was asked to become the bench coach when Buddy was let go, unfortunately, and Warren Schaefer was named the interim manager. So I've had 2 different jobs in the last month. I'm back in uniform. And we're trying to navigate our way back to respectability.
Yeah, and I like how you brought up that you were in a different role. And this is, I think, how baseball to me has always been described, where, things happen. And what you expect actually doesn't happen. It's the unexpected. Now, of course, in this case, right, Clint, you weren't thinking, well, damn, I'm going to be back in the dugout here. Like, maybe there was that part, right? But baseball throughout all the years, every single year, I'm sure you've gone into a season and something happened that you said, you know what? That's not what I was hoping for. Injuries, start to the season, slumps, struggles. And maybe I know that this will get into with what you just put out with the hurdleisms, which I love, by the way. I would talk about dealing with the struggles and failures. I mean, that's not sugarcoating. Being 7-36 is brutal. But talk about what that is like, you know, when you're trying to find your way in Baltimore here. The Birds are trying to find their way, right? 15-27. This team was supposed to be the best in the American League, and then it's kind of now they're in that shock. So talk about the struggles on the day-to-day of trying to change things around.
Well, the daily challenge is to show up fresh when you're getting beat up. And one of the terms I use in the book, Hurdleisms, is you got to find a way to shower well. Whatever that day brought you, sideways, bad, good, muddy, horrible, yes, walk off, whatever happened, honestly self-evaluate and then get it off of you. Get it off of you. You got to find a way wherever you're going next after the locker room. You need to be able to be present. For a lot of these young men, they're going back to young families. Mm-hmm. You know, some of them are married, some of them got kids. And one of the lessons I learned the hard way was not being present often enough, was taking some of that baggage back home with me. Showering well, just let it get down the drain. And that's part of it. The other part of it is finding enough people, gatekeepers in your organization, to be realistic but optimistic. You can't walk away from what's happened. You can't downplay it. And you can't just let a lot of people keep saying, well, we're okay. We're okay. No, we're not okay. You know, what we need to be saying is we're going to work hard today to get better. So there's got to be a mentality that's unique, and it takes grit. It takes guts. But a lot of times, you know, the players are players, and they tend to, like men do when problems arise, they isolate. You got to find a way to get them back in community, back in the herd, back in the pack mentality. Not one person's going to lead us out of this. Not one person got us into it. One of the first things I shared with the hitters when we had a hitters meeting when I came back as head coach is I said, you know, what happens when, you know, you've dug yourself a hole? You know what you need to start doing next is stop digging. You know, let's go back to some basics and let's figure out some things that we've had some success with, or what you need to have success with as a hitter. Mm-hmm. The hardest part is to make sure you're not having those water cooler chats and short groups. You know, what I used to call them, you know, shadow talkers. You got to make sure you get people that are willing to be real and have hard conversations, but then lock arms. We got to go play our way out. But all we can do is focus on winning the game today. We didn't get here overnight. We're not going to get out of here overnight.
Yeah. I love that aspect of you have to be able to wash things away, and you got to identify the problem, realize that there is a problem, and you got to keep showing up. I think that's one part, Clint, you know, and I know from the perspective on the outside, when you're outside of the baseball world, where guys can look at, or people can say, hey, the guys aren't trying. Why aren't they making adjustments? It's hard when you're fighting yourself internally. Does that make sense? Like, the mental side of it is the part that really separates the good players from the great, and the, you know, bad teams from the good teams, where you got to find a way to get out of your head, reset constantly, can't carry it over to the next day. You know, throughout all your years, right? This is something that you've had to deal with. What would be maybe the one piece of advice, or if it's story over time where you learned about like the true failures of this game? Because I know it kind of ties into why you ended up writing the book that you did, because it's all about perspective at the end of the day.
It is about perspective. It's also about what I think. A couple questions that I always ask my teams. I ask these questions early on. Can I trust you? Can you make me better? And do you care about me? I think when we get in these positions where times have been hard, and just so your viewing public can understand, you were talking about the Baltimore Ravens earlier. Yeah, I'm a fan of all the other sports. Right. You know, I'll have those moments where I'm a fan, and then I'll sit back and realize, you know what, it's really hard to play at that level. I don't give them space for excuses, but I do understand maybe from a different perspective how hard it can be to play at that level, because the other team, those guys get paid. They want to drive nice cars. They want to do special things. And when momentum changes uniforms and it gets on one side and it's not on yours, it's tough to overcome. I'm a Detroit Lion fan. I've been a Detroit Lion fan since I was 5 years old. I have done a lot of hard over the years. We're in a good space right now.
Yeah.
We have a team that I'm proud of, that I pull for. I've always pulled for my team, but now, we're throwing down and we're winning games, and we've got a mojo, and we've got a style, and we've got a vision that's real. You lose your way when the wins stop coming and the losses start piling up. It's almost like you need to have somebody there that's a GPS. Okay, we're getting off road a little bit, because normally you don't have that person until it's too late and everybody can identify the problem.
Yeah.
You need somebody that's giving you incremental heads ups. Hey, we're 2 weeks in. These things aren't going well. We've got a lot of people counting a lot of things in baseball right now, a lot of analytics. And one of the things I was always in favor of in Pittsburgh was 2-week checkups. Are we trending? Which way are we trending offensively? Pitching, base running, just to give us a heads up, because sometimes when you win, Ryan, it becomes a deodorant. You let a lot of things slide because you're winning.
Yeah.
And it's not until sometimes it's too late that you re-identify, well, geez, we really haven't been doing this very good for a while. We need to get back on track. The part about the hitting, and I'm sure that pitching guys can identify with as well, fans can. When I'm just facing the pitcher, as a hitter, it's one-on-one. When I'm facing the pitcher, myself, and 6 fielders, I'm going to come up short. So many times those battles between pitcher and hitter, they're won before the guy even gets in the box.
Mm-hmm.
They're tilted one way or the other just based on past performance.
Yeah.
The elite have ability to reset quicker. The elite have ability to recover quicker. I had 0 for 25s in my career. I'd like to know how many 0 for 25s my buddy George Brett had. His was an 0 for 10. Mine was an 0 for 25 or an 0 for April. But the elite recover quicker. And what happens many times in sport is that, the recovery time, it's hard because sometimes we're just not honestly self-evaluating why we're not doing well.
Yeah. It's funny you bring up the slumps. It happens. And some players, and usually the better ones, know how to get out of it quicker than others. But even some of the greats are going to find some tough times, at least as they try to learn themselves. My dad, I remember, he thought he got it figured out his rookie year, Clint. He's like, he opened up opening day, hit a jack. I think he had 2 or 3 hits. And then he proceeded to go 3 for his next 64 his rookie year. And then Earl Weaver sat him down and said, hey, I believe in you. We're not sending you down. You've proven everything you can do. You just got to find a way to get back on track. Keep working at it. And again, go in the cage and you continue to work on it and try to get yourself back right. And I think it turned out pretty well for him on his career. Mark Teixeira, we just talked to him a couple of weeks ago, and Tex was saying, yeah, I learned with the fact that I'm going to have 3 or 4 really good hot streaks, and I'm going to have 3 or 4 extremely cold streaks. But in the middle, can I try to just stay the course? No matter what, stay the course with what happens. So then, in this case, Clint, you've been a part of teams that have been rough to start and got red hot. I mean, the one that sticks out, obviously, going back to 2007, right? The ridiculous run. Yeah. If I like to be an optimist, Zach knows this over there behind the scenes. What do you do when you're trying to tread water and then you're hoping for a breakthrough? Because I think your team fully embodied that, where then it went on a stretch that I don't know if we're ever going to see that type of streak, but it did happen. And then the magic happened. Obviously went on a great run, fell a little bit short though. But I mean, just can you elaborate a little bit on the true grind of it in the middle and trying to turn things around?
And I think that's what defines a professional, is the ability to keep showing up and not crumbling or cracking through adversity. You keep showing up, as you said, alluded to earlier. You're going to have some ups. You're going to have some downs. How do you negotiate the middling? How do you react to the 3rd Tuesday in August that, when you're going to show up in that situation? When you tread water, what do you do when you tread water? Number 1, you don't panic, right? Number 2, you breathe and you just keep moving. You keep moving. And normally when I'm treading water, I don't say, okay, I'm going to tread water. And if something good doesn't happen in a minute, I'm going to stop, because if I stop, I'm going to drown. You just keep treading water. It somewhat tilts into a thing called the Stockdale paradox, where Robert Stockdale, he was a POW, he was captured, and he said one of the survival instincts that he really picked up on, it made him the man he was, and probably gave survival a leverage for survival that's greatest opportunity, was he didn't set a date. He didn't say, man, we got to get out by Christmas. Man, we got to get out by spring. Man, you show up one day at a time. You do the best you can that day, and then you turn your back on it. The good ones, they don't have a step in yesterday. They don't have a foot in yesterday. They don't have a foot in tomorrow, because if you got a foot in yesterday and you got a foot in tomorrow, you're taking a crap on today is what you're doing. They stay present in the moment.
Amen.
They stay present in the moment. They do the best they can today, and then at the end of it, they honestly self-evaluate and move on. One of the things I share with young hitters is it's a 3-step process. Number 1, get a good pitch to hit. Number 2, be on time. Number 3, don't freak out if the first 2 don't happen. We have a tendency to freak out, and that's usually either you're not prepared, you don't have the confidence of the skill set, you haven't done your reps, or you're young and don't have the experience. When you get to that part of your life where, look, I've been here before. The car's run out of gas before. What am I going to do? Am I just going to sit here and think a tanker's going to pull up and fill it up? Hopefully I got a AAA card. Maybe I got a cell phone. If not, I've got to take an action. Sometimes the action isn't taken as soon as it should be, because I can't speak for anybody else but myself, and maybe a small group of men I've done this with. I've gotten myself into this mess. What's the next line to finish that up with? I'll get myself out.
Yeah.
That's just jackass mentality between you and I, because I'm going to trust the same guy that got me in the ditch to get me out. What I need to do is call somebody or reach out to somebody who's been in the ditch and ask them what they did to get out of the ditch.
See, I could listen to all of these moments, and you call them then hurdleisms, right? Because it really just embodies all of this. This is why baseball teaches us so much, Clint. I mean, heck, you just said 50th year, and you had all the experiences, and I think baseball is a great sport for so many reasons. I don't like to fail, but I know that you've even said about being fired 3 times, and you learn more in the failures than you do in the successes. That's how baseball is. You learn a lot. So can you explain why you wanted to write the book with hurdleisms, what your goal was? Because I do think that is a really important lesson for a lot of people.
I'm going to try and give you the cliff notes here, because number 1, I never wanted to write a book. I was in uniform for so many years, and they approached me in Colorado after we went to the World Series. Hey, you need to write a book and tell the story. I'm still in uniform. That doesn't make sense to me. Yeah. Went to Texas after I got fired in Colorado, 14 months after going to the World Series. We went to a World Series there. Hey, you need to write a book. You were in the World Series as a coach. You were in the World Series as a manager. No, I don't want to write a book now. Go to Pittsburgh. We didn't win a World Series, but we broke a 20-year drought of 500 baseball. Hadn't had a team that played 500 baseball in 20 years. Hadn't had a team in the playoffs in 21 years, and went to the playoffs 3 straight years. You need to write a book. No, I just didn't want to write a book. And then I got to a point where, after I was fired in Pittsburgh, first time in my life, I got paid to not work. If you can get that job, Ryan, that's one I'd get everybody to sign up for. If you can get paid to not work, never happened to me before. So I took 2 years off. I got out of the uniform. I put it away. And then some people started drifting back. Hey, would you think about writing? Anyway, I signed up with a buddy of mine. We were going to write a book together. Dave Burchett, he's TV produced games for the Rangers for 40 years. Wonderful man. He's written books. He's done the work. He knows the way. All I got to do is speak into a microphone or hang out with him for a weekend. He'll take all the notes. He'll do all the heavy lifting, right?
Yep.
That's my mind. We try and pitch the book after spending 2.5 years on it, and all the information we get back from the editors, two old white guys sharing experience, strength, and hope on a porch really is a very small demographic. It's not going to leave the neighborhood. You're not going to sell this book out of your own area code. So we got mad, then we got sad, and then Dave just threw up a Hail Mary. He said, would you have your friend John Gordon read the book? John's a very good friend of mine. He's a best-selling author, inspirational speaker. He goes to all the pro teams, college teams. I mean, he's a wonderful man, friend of mine. Known him for 14 years. And I'm like, oh, Dave, I don't want to ask John for this favor. He goes, please, Clint. The guy spent 2.5 years of his life writing this book that's not going to get published. I said, okay, John, would you please read the book? John says, yes. He goes, Clint. He says, it's not packaged right, man. It's not wrapped right. This thing's going to float. So both our hearts kind of got dented. And he goes, you know what you need to do? You need to write a book. I went, what? What? He goes, you need to write a book. He says, I've known you for 14 years. I've written down things you said to your team, you said to my groups. I call them hurdleisms, and I keep them in a folder. I said, whoa, John, stop. What? He goes, yeah, you need to write a book. I gave him 5 reasons, Ryan, why I shouldn't write a book. And he goes, so you're scared. Fists up. I gave him 5 reasons why I wasn't scared. And he goes, so you're really just afraid. I sat there for a minute, Ryan, and I dropped my head. I put it in my hand. And I said, you know what, John? You're right. The only thing holding me back is fear. I don't want it to be rejected. I don't want to be made fun of. I've never done it. I don't know how. He goes, Clint, so all those emotions are the emotions every author has as they're contemplating writing the first book they write. He said, you need to take a step of faith. All this stuff you've told teams, you need to put in place right now and go for it. So basically, he double dog dared me, Ryan, and that still works on a 67-year-old man. A dare still works. So I started that process from start to finish. It probably took a year. Wiley Publishers picked up the book. I wrote every word in the book. To this day, I can't believe those words even come out of my mouth, that I wrote every word in the book. And the reason being, I wanted to share with anyone who's been in a dark place, a hard place, feels lost, alone, that, man, there's more out there. There's a way to get out of it. It's not easy, but it can work if you do it. And then I just shared a lot of life lessons learned the hard way, but I also put a practical experience with it, a life experience, and a professional experience with each one of them.
Double dog dare, Zach. That's all it takes to get Clint going to actually write the damn book. But I love the fact it's real, Clint. You're explaining the realness of why you did it. And even the process of you explaining right there about being afraid, being rejected, the failure, that's the human element, right? And that's what the combination of all the experience with baseball, everything that you've done outside of your life, it kind of intertwines together. And then, yes, I've recognized so far, even in this conversation, you've used some of these hurdleisms for your stories, and they fit perfectly like a glove. So where could people find, if they're looking to, if they want to buy a copy of Hurdleisms?
Well, the quickest way to get it done is through Amazon online. Okay. We're in most bookstores, wherever books are sold. It's also kind of humbling when your buddies or your friends travel and they snap a shot at Davis Love Airport. You're in Hudson News, you're in LaGuardia, and it's a small little book. It's not a big book. And when we talked about the concept of the book, they asked me, well, tell us the name of some impactful books you've read, because I think they were trying to feel me out, because I guess sometimes authors will feel like they need to write this big book.
Yeah.
And I went, one of my best favorite all-time books was Tuesdays with Morrie that Mitch Albom wrote. And it was I said it was really cool because I could almost put it in my pocket. I could throw it in a bag. And they go, well, what's kind of funny is we were thinking of that same type of concept. Some of John Gordon's books are that size. They're easy to digest. It's not so much it's that it's an easy read. It's a comfortable read.
Mm-hmm.
And the fact that the reception has been from boys and girls, teenagers, men, women, grandma, grandpa, some athletes, some speakers, other friends of mine, has been very humbling, because it isn't a baseball book. It's kind of a book about life written by a guy that just happened to spend a lot of time in baseball. that's also tripped up all over himself a number of times. When you're vulnerable and authentic, people can relate to that. They can't relate to the guy holding the World Series trophy over his head as well. You know, I've been to 3 World Series. I share in the book. 3. One as a coach, one as a player, and as a manager. There's not a lot of people in the history of the game that have been to a World Series as a coach, player, and manager. You know what even makes me more unique is that I was on the losing team for all 3 of them.
I was about to say. I bet that felt good till this day, Clint. That felt great. Every single opportunity.
Kick between the legs. No, brutal. No. That's why I keep telling the young players in the Rockies organization, you're the 4th time's a charm. You're my ticket. You know, that's not one of the reasons I'm back here, but I'm back in uniform. You know what's kind of crazy? You just get those feelings again. You get that belief again. My dad asked me the other day, so is the pilot light still burning? I said, Dad, let me share this with you. We played a doubleheader against the Tigers. We got beat 21-3. We scored 3 runs and had like 11 hits in 8 innings at Coors Field. Then we got beat a few days later, 21-0, where we got 5 hits. So I'm mad. I'm sad. I'm embarrassed. Yeah, Dad, the pilot light is lit. I'm angry. I'm ready to fight. I'm ready to do whatever it takes.
I love that. Well, hey, you know, we've seen some other people in baseball come back recently. Well, I'd say in the last like 5-6 years, Bruce Bochy, then, hey, come on back. Texas, they bring home a World Series title. The thing that I'm hearing is passion, pride, and you love it. You love being around it. And one thing is, I don't want to take up too much of your time, Clint. I love these conversations because I love going down the rabbit hole. And for me, you understand this. I grew up with it. I grew up with the family that I was 10 years old, Clint, and Zach's heard me tell this story. I'd eat ice cream, and my dad would sit at the table, have the TV on, and he'd go, "Hey, Ryan, you know, sit down right here. Let's talk about cutoffs and relays in the 7th inning against the Braves and the Rays." And I'm like, "Oh, I just want to eat my damn ice cream." But we broke it down, and I'm so grateful that I did. And I sat down with my dad, and I learned the game. And then when I got into those moments, all I cared about was how do we win? How do we get it done? How do we fix it? That competition, even to me being done, I retired in 21, got up to AAA. That competitive nature for me is still there. It's still there with my Uncle Bill, still there with my dad. And clearly it's still there with you jumping back in. And you got a tall task ahead, but you're up for the fight, which is amazing. One thing, because I think it's the most fascinating thing, Clint, to get you out of here. You've had so much experience. You got to have a minor league story or two for me somewhere, don't you?
Oh yeah. There's no doubt. I mean, the one I like to tell, though, actually, a minor league story. Dan Quisenberry. You remember the name?
Yep.
I knew Dan Quisenberry turned out to be an elite closer. He was a knuckle dragger. He dropped down. Tekulve taught him how to do it one spring training. Whitey reached out to, I think it was Tanner before Leland got there and said, "Hey, I got this guy that's trying to figure out this different angle to throw. Teak does it. If I bring him over for a game, can he spend the day with Teak?" I knew Quiz out of college. We were both rookies in Waterloo, Iowa. I knew Quiz when he threw over the top. He was a high 3/4 right-hander. We had together collectively, I guess our life cycles were set up. Almost every night we would end up in the shower together. Just at the time before we go home, we were horrible. I was hitting a $180. I couldn't homer. I could punch out with the best of them or ground out to second. I couldn't do anything else. He couldn't get anybody out. He got real good at backing up bases. He got real good at walking off the mound in the 3rd inning. We would meet in the shower and look at each other and be like, "What the hell are we doing? And he would just look at me and go, "Hey, once we take this shower, nobody else can do anything to us the rest of the day." That's where the term shower well came from initially. But it was from Quiz back in the day. That same ballpark, though, you talk about personalities. We had a guy that would torment the other team. He would wear these army boots that had the steel plates in them. We called him the Stomper. Think about your minor league days. There was something in every place that you didn't see anywhere else.
Yep.
Also in Waterloo, Iowa, it was like Wrigley Field. If something good happened on your team and you went to jump up, you cold cocked yourself on the top of the dugout. I must have done it 127 times that year never figured out to not do it. But the minor league stories are endless. And that's what makes the minor league so special, because not everybody gets out of the minor leagues. But when you're there together, that's all you've got is each other.
Truly is. And they've made changes, obviously, then that's for the better for guys now. But I tell people, I was able to be a part of that next wave. I mean, you back then, like, that's a whole different world. But I got to experience those exact moments of you go to a different town. Where the hell am I? And you're only going to get this right here. But I wouldn't change it for the world, Clint. I learned so much. And it was the group that I did it with that made it that much more special. So, Clint, I'll let you go. I'll let you enjoy the rest of your off day. Thank you so much. And again, for everyone out there, Hurdleisms, it's out there. Amazon's the easiest. And if you see Clint, hey, we'll cheer on the Rockies in the meantime. How about that?
Ryan, thank you so much for this opportunity. I've looked forward to meeting you for many years as well. I appreciate it.
All right, Clint, appreciate you. Thank you so much. Clint Hurdle, everybody. I love talking to him, man. What I love about what he's put into his book, and I love how real, and we talk about this all the time, Zach, about the authenticity of sitting there and being who you are.
Yeah.
And what I love with Clint and throughout the years of him, what you see and what you saw on the field, same person off of it, and he's not afraid to talk about the struggles. We don't go through life here where everything's perfect. People want to know that you have dealt with things yourself. That's why when I talk about the mental side of the game, I talk about it because I went through it. I went through those same issues. I've been in situations where, how do I get myself out of it? This is so hard. I can empathize. And also, how many times, man, I was scared shitless at times. Am I going to get released? Am I going to lose my job? What's going to happen next? And then you forget about the moments in time here. But for Clint, I still thought that was great. And a lot of those sayings that he's talked about, it's all in his book.
Mm-hmm.
And I love the fact that one of those stories about the showered away right there, actually came from a minor league story.
Incredible.
Minor league grinders, man. He is incredible. And also, not sugarcoating it, the Rockies, they got some work to do.
Yeah.
Talk about that struggle.
That's a different struggle.
Woof, woof, woof. But Clint Hurdle, phenomenal. We've had a lot of great people join us so far on season 2 of the Ryan Ripken Show, essentially here. But if you're new to the channel, hit that like and subscribe button. Ryan Ripken Show, do it every Tuesday, Wednesday, and Thursday right here on YouTube and X. Zach, I think we've had a phenomenal week so far. I know it hasn't been a phenomenal week for the Birds. Are you going to go live later on for Kevin and Zach reaction? Are you just going to do it here?
No, actually, I think Kevin already did it.
Did he really?
Yeah, Kevin had me and Kevin both are doing car trips after this, so I got some Ocean City.
You got some Ocean
golf.
City,
but
that's a big.
Yeah, I think Kevin went live from 3:30 to 4:15 ish.
Oh, good for Kevin.
Yes,
Oh, that's what the message was.
Yeah,
that's what the message was. Okay, now it makes sense.
Yes, so that was. I guess we've already reacted. So hop over there.
Is there anything
like and
that
subscribe?
Is there anything that you want to get off your chest from the game?
I mean, it's just disappointing. It's just we're beating a dead horse. I feel like at this point, it's just they got to figure something out. Just pitching's not the issue. Offense is the issue. Then pitching's the issue when the offense isn't. It's just they got to figure out how to play as a unit.
It's like a circle. It's a circle all the time, but the outcomes aren't positive. They're negative. But you got no choice. That's not an excuse. I know it's not what fans want to hear, but for the players, they have no choice but to try to figure it out. And they got to handle all the weight of the world on their shoulders. But we'll see what they do, and we'll see how they react. But today we appreciate Q, Nick, Clint, for everything so far with the show. Am I missing anything else before we get on out of here?
No, I don't think so.
Okay. We'll be back then next week. We'll have other things. Brooks, yes. It's not like a square.
Not like a square.
It has corners. Circle.
Square.
I have a feeling you have no idea what I'm talking about. Okay. And hit the music. Now.
Bum, 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 bum.
Bum, 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 bum. As always, here on the Ryan Ripken Show, we appreciate each and every one of you. Have a day, have a night, have a great stinking weekend. And we'll be back to do this whole damn thing next Tuesday on a brand new episode and week of the Ryan Ripken Show.